Hey guys, it's me, Matt Kuhn, with Total Engagement, which is a short, daily wrestling podcast available on all your podcast platforms, whether we're talking about news of the day, hot takes, instant reaction, retro clips, or even crime and wrestling. It's got a little something for every wrestling fan. It's Total Engagement, daily, powered by WrestleZone.
Now we can get into everything going on in the world of wrestling. Now you can share the link. I bet if you're watching this video, you're like, what's going on with these jerks? With their cable access graphics on the screen and what have you. Did you get tricked? Did you get treated? I hope you don't eat candy corn, the worst Halloween candy everyone knows. Candy corn sucks! WWE Crown Jewel went down today. A lot of eventful things, and we have a new WWE Universal Champion. The fiendish Bray Wyatt defeated Seth Rollins in a very violent and a very red Falls Count Anywhere match. I'm Kevin Kellam for WrestleZone.com. Joining me as always, my friend who looks like Seth Rollins but does not feel as bad as Seth Rollins feels right now. No. He's in the city that'll host WrestleMania in 2020. Robert DeFelice in Tampa, Florida. How are you doing, Robert?
I'm doing pretty good, Kev.
Thank you for the correction there on the audio. That makes the show sound better.
Oh, yeah. You need the theme song. The theme song is what amps everybody up.
For the faithful viewers, you need the theme song. For the podcast people, you get the theme song no matter what. So thank you for that. If you're with us on YouTube, you're like, oh, that looked weird. Don't whatever. We had to make it look right. It has to feel right. So 4 minutes into the show, now we can finally talk about WWE Crown Jewel. What did you think of the show? I mean, overall, we'll get into the all of it, and we'll give a rating and the real review and all that fun stuff. But what did you think of it?
Without getting into any of the minutia, I think this show was the best Saudi Arabian show that WWE has presented. This felt like an authentic WWE pay-per-view. The crowd was lively. It didn't feel like, well, this is really a weird setting for a pay-per-view. It just felt like a WWE pay-per-view.
Mm-hmm. It did. It felt like a big show. It didn't feel like the biggest show. And I don't say this. I don't think it was an awful show, but I don't think it was great. It was boom right there in the middle. The good was good, the bad was bad, and so that's the way I feel about it. I know it seems very blasé and unconfrontational. Everyone wants you to shoot. You gotta shoot on something. Shan Magaparian texting and saying the show was horrible, but Jason Rodon saying the show was awesome, so he enjoyed it. So mixed opinions here. And so a lot of different things happened in the show. Let's get into the opening match. Cain Velasquez, Brock Lesnar, WWE Championship match. Big way to open the show. Cain Velasquez's biggest test in WWE so far. His first singles match ever in professional wrestling, too. So this is a big deal for him here. And he loses in shocking fashion. In 2 minutes, he loses there to Brock Lesnar. Via the Kimura arm lock. Rey Mysterio getting into the fracas with some chairs there in the back end here. What do you think of this? I was let down by it, but when I realized it was more of an angle right away, once I saw Rey get in the ring, I was like, okay, Kane's not there, so let's protect him and not make him look bad.
So this is everything I don't like about the UFC. It ended so quickly, even though it's like, in reality, if these two could have 20 minutes, even just to punch the crap out of each other, it would be a fun spectacle. But this ended very quickly. Triple H said on After the Bell with Corey Graves that Kane is more in the developmental side of his career.
Yeah.
So it's clear to me that they're going to do more work with him.
Mm.
I was surprised to see that Brock and Rey is going to continue.
I'm surprised to see it too, but I mean, that was a fun mismatch that worked when they did it before in WWE. And obviously, Rey has motivation to go after this guy. He attacked your son, So, I mean, if your arm's healed up and now you took out him, now I'm going for you. And you can't deny that there's storyline motivation there.
But here's where we start to get already into the minutia of what WWE has done with the brand split, the draft just occurring.
Mm-hmm.
Both champions are now currently on SmackDown, and Brock Lesnar's in a feud with Raw's Rey Mysterio. My guess is Brock goes to Raw, but that would then leave Fox without their guy.
Yeah, so it's an interesting situation to say the least. You're right there. And both titles. What's going to happen to Raw now? What are you going to do there? Raw becomes the B show. Is that? So a lot of mixed opinions here. I was let down by it. I was expecting a little bit more out of Cain here, but when I realized it was an angle, like I mentioned, I didn't think too much of that though. Other big moments: tag team turmoil. This is pretty good. Surprising outcome. The OC are the World Cup tag team champions. They won the World Cup of tag team wrestling. You could say it's just a trophy and it's a one-time thing, but the OC has not been a team that people thought much of besides being the Goon Squad for AJ Styles, the United States champion. And they win. Not a groundbreaking match. I don't think anyone's going to say it's the best tag team match of the year, but certainly a really, really fun match. I enjoyed it. The stars shined in. It also showed off that WWE has a lot better tag teams than I think people give them.
But you're forgetting this is a unified tag team match where it had everybody.
Yeah.
And I mean, but if you divide these rosters the way that they have, it becomes less impactful, I think.
No, I think it shows off the teams. It shows off they have good teams on both shows. Like that's the impression I got. And I got the impression, and I was surprised that they went with OC. I thought New Day would get it. Yeah, I thought they would get the New Day ramped up for another title on here. I know
it seemed. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I thought you would see New Day kind of come out of this and look like we're chasing the Revival into this title match again. But that's something they've done before, putting the rocket on the OC and trying to make them a new revive them. I think, for lack of a better phrase, is a smarter move because Raw needs a team that's formidable against Viking Raiders. But Viking Raiders have mowed down the OC a handful of times.
It's peculiar to me that they didn't just go with the Vikings and that they had their first loss handed to them in pretty convincing fashion over on a show like this. I'm surprised that the OC is now the best tag team in the world, but this adds a ton of fuel to the fire heading into Survivor Series, which is going to be quite the fun show, and I think they can be an integral part of the show.
Other news on the show, this is, no matter what you say, this is going to be the biggest talking point, I think, coming out of this pay-per-view, and maybe we should have started with it here. We'll get into what happened with the WWE Universal Championship and the new champion there and how what that was like and how there were some weird things with that. There was always something weird with The Fiend and Seth Rollins, right? We'll get into that, but this is something I saw a lot of people have mixed opinions about, and some of them saying it's either great or it's just okay. Other people saying it was a PR move, but it was announced early yesterday morning, and becomes a very, very special thing here. Natalya defeating Lacey Evans. This is the first women's wrestling match ever held in Saudi Arabia for WWE. They obviously had different outfits on. It's a culture that doesn't want women showing that much, exposed flesh. And here we are. This is a historic first for WWE. Natalya made her way to the ring. Very different vibe to her when she came down to the ring. Lacey Evans made her way to the ring. A lot less heelish. But you could tell there were some tense moments when they got down to the ring. Like, what is this crowd going to be like? But once they locked up, the crowd was on board. And it was not a groundbreaking match. I wouldn't call this the best women's match of the year. But I think it's going to be on those lists just for how much history it makes. This is a big, big thing for women. It's a big thing for WWE. It's a positive story. I know everyone thinks, why are they going to Saudi Arabia, a country that people feel doesn't give those equal rights and doesn't do these things. But if WWE says, hey, we're going to this country to bring Americana and spread some evolved ideas of the Western world to this country, and they're doing it here, there's no bad spin on this in my eyes. Because when everyone says they did for PR, sure, everything's for PR. They're gonna do a show on Fox that's for PR. You could say that about anything that any company does. That's such a cop out here. The fact is, there was young girls in that crowd that got to see women compete in a wrestling ring.
So I'm gonna address the elephant in the room before somebody brings it up. Yes, there was a bottle thrown at both women as they were making their way to the ring.
Sure.
I'm surprised that that's the only bit of tension that we saw.
And you know what you did? You know what you did see? You saw. That.
Hold on. Well, I'm getting to it. I know
Yeah.
where you're going, and I'm getting to
and,
it.
and it was just a fun moment to see those kids in the crowd respond to it. It was
I
fun.
really want to dissect this because I watched this match through different eyes because you can just see that you're watching history be made. And that's cliche in wrestling, but this was like real life history.
Yeah, it was a big deal. It was a very, very big deal. I had people tweeting us at WrestleZone.com saying they watched it at work on break, and they made a point just to watch that one match, and they were crying.
To watch that match.
And they were crying. There were women watching this match around the world that cried. What's wrong with that? Everybody wants to be able to say, oh, just enjoy it. This is a historic thing. It was special. You can say it's wrong that WWE's there, but they're doing this. And those two women got to do that. They got to do something very historic and very, very special. And I don't think that should be downgraded. That should be recognized.
The smile never left Natalia's face, which I thought was very telling. Lacey Evans just seemed overwhelmed from minute one. Like she barely turned on Lacey Evans.
There were a couple spots in the match where Lacey was out of position. But the match was good, and they did the right finish. We didn't even talk about the match itself. We're just talking about the moment.
Because the match itself, it matters, but it doesn't. Like it was very much two women going out there and having an exhibition.
Yes.
And the thing that I want to talk about is they went over to a woman in the front row. I'm guessing that she's one of the higher dignitaries, and you could tell it meant a lot to her to see that.
Yes.
And then the moment that got me wasn't seeing Lacey cry.
No, it's when
seeing the little girl.
Natalia went over to that girl in the front row and took that selfie.
I was like, yeah,
gave her a kiss on the cheek.
Great moment.
And you know what Natalia did? She did what you do at a house show. You go around the ring and you engage the fans and you make them feel special and you tell them thanks for coming out. Like, yeah, let's get a quick pic and do that and wave to the crowd and do all those fun things. Also, you notice simple things they don't get to do often when they're on TV. They're rushed on time. The clap up. Here we go. We're going to go into a lockup. Here we go. Simple, fun things that you see in wrestling that now mean so much more because this is the first time that fans in that part of the world get to do it themselves at their own show, and they get to be a part of the dance that we get to have all the time. I thought it was really, really cool. I enjoyed it. I think it was a good thing here.
It was easily, and Natalia's done a lot, and it was easily the best thing she's ever done or ever going to get to do because it just means so much.
And other big moments on this show that as we move on. Mansoor. Wow. I understand that when you have somebody come out to their hometown, they get a big pop. But this guy got the pop of the night. I don't think anyone got the reaction to this guy yet. So they featured him on the last show, and he won a Battle Royal. And that was a big, big deal. And we've never seen him. He's been on NXT a handful of times. And obviously they want the Saudi Arabian superstar to be there and represent people. But this is him now getting a test, a very, very serious test for a fairly young green wrestler against what many people think is the state-of-the-art wrestler, the ultimate utility player for WWE, Cesaro.
And the Swiss Army knife, as it were.
The Swiss Army knife. That's a good way of putting it. The Swiss cyborg. Say whatever you want. Cesaro didn't win. This was a fun, exciting match with a lot of back and forth moves. The crowd losing their mind on near falls, responding very, very big to things here. I thought this was the match of the night. If you haven't seen the show and you want to go back and watch anything we're talking about, this is the match you should definitely go see and go see the women's match as well. This was an awesome, awesome match. A lot of back and forth. Classic babyface versus a heel. The way Cesaro slowed it down, the way he paced it up. I wish Cesaro had different gear, but whatever. It doesn't matter. It's an aesthetic thing. They did some phenomenal stuff. The tornado DDTs off the top rope. They did the variations on that. Just some really cool stuff. And also, Mansoor, this is the best match he's ever had. You know, you've seen him have a handful of matches here and there on NXT, but man, this guy's got a lot of talent and can really, really move in the ring.
And, let's be clear, he's no slouch. Yes, Cesaro can work with a broom, but he didn't have a broom in there. Mansoor can go. Mm-hmm. And I agree with you. I thought this match was phenomenal. I think, like you were saying about, old school wrestling, Michael Cole on commentary for this match, it was almost as if he was commentating specifically for the Saudi Arabian crowd and the audience. They were losing their mind, almost Vince McMahon 80s style on the near falls.
What a maneuver!
It was so good. And I think when you strip away all the gaga, and yes, there's a lot of controversy surrounding Saudi Arabia and all that. But when you strip that away, this is such a fun show, and these are such fun shows for that underserved audience.
All right, if you're with us, sound off. Let us know what you guys thought of WWE Crown Jewel. If you're with us in the live stream, if you're watching us on YouTube, jump into the comments below. I'll be in there as well. After this goes live, I'll be able to talk to you guys about that. Other big results that we're looking at here coming out of WWE Crown Jewel. What's another big match you think maybe that stood out that people are going to forget about? But, yeah, go check this one out. There were a handful of good things on here that I think people are going to sleep on.
There were a handful of good things. I want to talk about the United States Championship match with Humberto Carrillo and AJ Styles. I want to talk about AJ Styles. He is over in Saudi Arabia.
He was.
This dude was so over. When they showed him on the pre-show on the big screen watching the match, the place blew just for a picture of him watching the TV. It was like, he was over. And, we didn't talk about the kickoff show in the Battle Royal. Mm-hmm. Harper, for whatever reason, the Saudi Arabian crowd during that Battle Royal wanted to see some Luke Harper. And I think it's amazing to see who connects with that particular audience. Mm-hmm. Because when they lost their mind for somebody, they lost their mind.
They lost their mind for somebody. Yeah, I didn't get to catch the Battle Royal. How was it?
It was pretty good. Obviously, we just said Humberto Carrillo won the match.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that was a really strong win for him, and the way that set him up. Now, obviously, didn't fare too well against AJ Styles, but I don't think anyone expected him to win that either.
No. But he's going to be a player, and I can see that happening, and I like it. And R-Truth during the kickoff show after the Battle Royal won the 24/7 championship for a 21st time. Don't you worry, he would lose it for a 22nd
Don't worry, he lost it before the end of the night. What was the over-under on him losing and winning and getting the title and in a show like this? Because it felt like a lot of people were like, what's the over-under this? 7, 8 times he's going to jump around the title?
So we started the night with Sunil Singh as the champion. Once Sunil was eliminated from the Battle Royal, he was fair game, so R-Truth just stuck around to roll him up. R-Truth was then chased, very Looney Tunes style, to the back by everybody. And then the way he loses it is also very Looney Tunes style. He escapes the crowd by hiding behind a door, gets surrounded by the Singh brothers, runs into the door he was hiding behind, and 1, 2, 3, now it's Samir Singh who's the champion.
So let's get into the main event here. We'll get into the big main event matches here. Team Hogan, Team Flair. Obviously, some people expected some physicality from the Hulkster and Ric Flair. Didn't get any of the I thought maybe we get a big old, hey, run into my fist move. We didn't get any of that. But, you know what? Fun 5-man tag match. Not like I said, there's a lot of things in the match that were just fun. They weren't groundbreaking. I wouldn't describe them as absolutely phenomenal. This was a fun moment. Roman Reigns got the big win on Randy Orton after he did a couple RKOs on a couple guys jabron out in this match. Ricochet came out in gear that I thought was Jushin Thunder Liger, and I tweeted it out at WrestleZone.com. And then I was told that I was an uncultured swine because I did not know that he was cosplaying as the anime character All Might. No, this is wrestling. He looks like Jushin Thunder Liger. You, sir, are the uncultured pig. All right? I'm a smart piglet.
I consider myself a bit of an anime guy. I have no idea who All Might is. My instinct was I'm guessing he had a tattoo that needed to be covered up because Carl Anderson also wore a shirt.
Yeah. But there were other guys out there with tattoos on. I mean, Randy Orton came on with no shirt on. He had a bunch of tattoos.
Yeah, that's true. And he's got skulls and stuff. I don't know. And maybe it's selective, but Randy Orton. Dudes in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia love themselves.
Some Randy Orton. Randy Orton is still being a dick through all these years, and he's still over as Rover. I love
it's that RKO. It's that move that's just like, holy crap! This is the guy. I want to be this guy because he just hits this move out of nowhere, and it's awesome.
Absolutely, it was a fun match. There wasn't anything super phenomenal about it. I don't think there's any breakout performances in it. Ricochet had to take a ton of punishment to kind of be the babyface in peril type stuff. Wasn't an elimination match, so you knew you were building up to one fall. Loved the big dive by the big dog. Big dog flies. That's what Michael Cole loves to say when Roman Reigns gets to do that wonderful leap into
small moment on commentary. During the entrances, Greg Hamilton cut Michael Cole off before he could do his it's the big dog, and Michael Cole rebounds by going, and Greg Hamilton, you're fired because it's the big dog.
Did you catch also another moment in commentary? Did you catch Michael Cole making some slight at Corey Graves? So the ref, like, there was a couple times where Rusev wanted to get his hands on Bobby Lashley over the whole "you stole my wife" type angle they're doing on Raw. And they certainly played that up, right? And they got to fight a couple of times. It was neat. And so, but he's like, this has been the toughest year of his life. And Michael Cole says something along the lines of, "Oh, you know what that's like," referencing that Corey Graves recently had a divorce and now he's with Carmella, and that's all playing out on the Total Divas show.
Yeah, Michael Cole was definitely having some fun at the expense of Corey Graves, because I think Corey said something like, listen, Rusev is looking towards the toughest fight of his life, and I'm not talking about Lashley, I'm talking about alimony. And Cole just goes, God, I knew your real life experience would come into play. Just like, boom. just zinging them left and right. Cole had a good time here. I think Michael Cole is enjoying himself a little bit more with the two-man booth.
Yeah, he is.
I don't know. I like it. I liked a lot of things tonight.
Absolutely, man. It was quite the event here with WWE. Coming up, we will also talk about WWE's Q3 earnings report. This is the company side of things that they're and what's going on with them. You got to check that out. We'll talk about that in a little bit. A little bit of AEW news, looking at what they're doing with Being the Elite. I just lost Robert. Maybe he'll rejoin me here in a minute. No biggie deal. This happens when we're doing the live streams. We're used to it. He'll rejoin me here in a minute. How about that? So, what do you guys think? What do you think here? Matt Pessel, faithful viewer of the show, says, hey, Kevin and Robert, where are candy? We all want candy. I can't give you candy. We're on a live stream. I don't know how I would give you candy. I'm here in Chicago. It's freezing rain today. It is awful freezing rain. And I'm hopeful that it'll likely change. It'll be better. I don't have to go home to freezing rain, but I'll be fine here. Other questions here. This is a big story here. Shaman Gaparian already jumping the lead with me here on this one. Texting in about this. They announced on this pay-per-view, Survivor Series coming up in a few weeks from Chicago, I will be there, that we will indeed get NXT added to WWE Survivor Series. What do you guys think of this? This is a big move. It's a big change. And I'm going to tell Robert to rejoin me here. I was like, come on back, Robert. Come on back. There we go. I think this is an odd move by WWE to add NXT to it. And the reason I bring this up is I think, let me reboot the stream here. I'm going to be right back with you guys. Stay right there. All right. There we are, Robert. We're back. There we go. Gotta love technology. Yeah. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing that I don't understand. So, Survivor Series, WWE, NXT being added to it. What do you think of this move?
Wow, what just a little tiny slide in announcement there.
Yeah. And
NXT are gonna be a part of Survivor Series. This is the kind of thing that dreams are made of. You can do so much playful stuff with NXT being on Survivor Series. Finn Balor's already thrown the gauntlet down to the new Universal Champion. He called him the new shiny toy with the mask. So we can play around with that. And think about this.
Yeah.
We have a WWE champion in Lesnar, a Universal champion in Wyatt, and Finn Balor's fought them both on Big Four pay-per-views. So if they're going to lead teams, I mean, Finn Balor is a good guy to lead Team NXT. Then you got to think Johnny Gargano versus guys like.
How are you going to do it? Are you going to do triple threat? Are they going to do Survivor Series like they did last year, where it's like what brand has the best, type of stuff? Are they going to go for that type of thing? It'll be interesting to say the least.
According to reports from Mike Johnson of PW Insider, they're considering War Games
for Survivor Series.
For Survivor Series.
Why not?
Now, the only monkey wrench being
that would be awesome.
The only monkey wrench being they're doing 2 the night before.
They just do one big one at you're gonna have 2 rings. Are they gonna keep the 2 rings out there for the second night?
They might keep the 2. If they end up going with War Games, I would imagine they would keep the 2 rings.
They'd have to. They have to keep 2 rings. That'd be really
I like the idea. You can put Undisputed Era against the Club. You can do so much stuff. I mean, like, this is, you can do right now as it stands, Viking Raiders, Undisputed Era, Revival.
The winning team on Saturday gets to represent NXT on Sunday. That would be kind of neat.
That would be great.
That would be fun. That's just the way I see it. I just spitballing.
And not for nothing, but this, if they can all get on the same page for 5 seconds, is the one spot you can do the horsewoman match.
Horsewomen? It's just funny. It's just so silly to say horsewomen.
I know.
Yeah. I wonder how they're going to do it. Certainly how they do it is going to be looked at in a very critical way, because I think there's a lot of fans that are very excited about it. If you're just watching WWE, I think NXT is a brand that people are super, super excited. If you didn't check out our AEW NXT post show, that is up on the Facebook page. That is up in the podcast feed as well. We'll be dropping it on YouTube soon. We had a lot of thoughts about NXT last night and how they won the week in our eyes. But AEW had a really strong week as well. Don't worry, All Elite Wrestling fans, will talk about them as well. But another big change coming out of Crown Jewel today. We have a new WWE Universal Champion. Bray Wyatt wins a very violent match that had a bunch of glamour and glitz to it, a wild entrance, a ton of red lighting. The whole screen looked like someone dumped Kool-Aid on it when I was watching it on my phone in freezing rain coming to the show today. It was a fun match. The most I can say about it is that it was fun and violent, and he's kicking out of every finisher, and finishers don't mean anything when you're doing them outside of the ring, even though they should hurt even more if you're doing them outside of the ring. And you got a wild brawl. I think what we got was the make good for the Hell in a Cell disaster that we got last month. And now Bray Wyatt has taken the title off Seth Rollins. The monster Bray Wyatt could not be defeated. He got chokeslammed into a part of the set, and there was explosions and pyro. And there was a problem with a fire extinguisher. And then, bam, out of the darkness, a wonderful shot. WWE very good with the way they do their shots right now. And he crawled up behind Seth Rollins, and the crowd lost their minds and hit him with the Sister Abigail on the floor to win this match. I will say I wanted to enjoy this match more. It was just fun. It was just good. It could have been great if they didn't have that red lighting. The red lighting
needs to stop.
I get where the appeal is to make everything about Bray Wyatt different, but you can do that and have it not be so overstated. You know, you could just have that red lighting on the crowd. You could have that red, like, you should have a spotlight on him.
The dark lighting. Just go with, like...
Why not just have a spotlight? Just keep us... or just limit it. You want to change the lighting and do something with it? It's too much. But everything about WWE that's good is too much. Is the over-the-top stuff. The pyro, the screens, the costumes, and, like, some of that stuff really works for them. This is something where too much is just too much. Like, it gets in the way of the meat and potatoes of having a wrestling match. I liked it. Some other people are chiming in here as well. Some people saying, it's like Kool-Aid. Other people feeling that they said he did 8 curb stomps and he was still standing. And then other people saying, man, Rollins needs a break. Send him on vacation. Before we get into what are you going to do with Bray Wyatt as your champion, what do you think of this? This is gonna put Rollins on the bench for a while. I think you should cool him. The weird vibes around him are. It just seems like there's so much negativity around him, and I don't think he has to really be blamed for any of it. Just people wanted to turn on him because he defended the company on social media, and then he got into it with the Sasha Banks stands, and then he got into it with this crowd.
Like, more than the Sasha Banks stands, and I'm going to get into my fantasy book in a minute, so just give me a minute.
Yeah.
I think the weird appeal around Rollins right now is Rollins, like, WWE is where it's at. So, in my opinion, if you're going to do a Team WWE versus Team NXT, you got to have big old dork Seth Rollins leading Team WWE being like, no, NXT is the underground and this is the real, this is where the real top stars play. I think you play into that he's just being like, I'm on the main roster, I'm making the big checks. Because that's why people are upset with him, just because he said AEW's minor leagues told Will Ospreay, yeah, you might be taller than me, but I'll stand on my wallet, and then we'll see who's taller. And it's like, they just want to see Seth Rollins be a dork and get beaten up for being a dork. And I think
they turned on him because he became the top guy.
Yeah. So right now, if you put him against Balor,
they want to see you become the top guy, and then they want to reject you as the top guy. They Roman Reigns'd him.
And it's weird because Roman Reigns doesn't even get Roman Reigns treatment anymore. You know, like people like Roman.
No, the guy beat cancer. You're gonna boo him?
I think,
but this is where
honestly,
this is where the hypocrisy comes in. Seth Rollins is one of the best wrestlers in the world, and the people that hate him understand that he's still one of the best wrestlers in the world. He still went out there and had that match tonight, and still looks like $1 million, and still has $1 million cardio system to him, and can still go with anybody, and beat Brock Lesnar twice this year, and was over like Rover at WrestleMania. But then he defended WWE and said a bunch of jokes. If Kenny Omega said he stands in his wallet, he would be applauded. Rollins isn't an internet darling. We haven't chosen him, so now we say who's the best. You don't get to say you're the best, even though you really are. Like, you can't deny this guy is one of the best wrestlers in the world. And he's had a couple of soft promos, in the last year. And everyone, harps on it and drives it like crazy. And then you had the Hell in a Cell match. It's too much of this noise that has nothing really to do with his quality of work or who he is as a performer.
Or even anything on TV.
No.
Or even anything about his character. It's
just we want to turn on this guy. You said you're the best. Now we will reject you. You can't say you're the best. We anoint you. And then when we anoint you,
talk about.
Yeah, but that's what it is. And I think if he goes away for a while, it's the best thing, because when he comes back, everyone will be like, they'll forget it. It's distance makes the heart grow fonder.
Look at Ambrose.
Bingo.
For the most part, Ambrose hasn't changed a single thing about how he works, how he acts, or anything.
Yeah.
But he's out from the system. So it's that perception of you are free, you are uncaged, you're being the real you. Therefore, everything you do is cool. Everything you do is awesome. You are the man.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about this. The Fiend is the new champion. People are texting in. They're already saying it'll be him versus Drew McIntyre. It'll be him versus this guy. What do you think here? Bray Wyatt is your champion. A wild supernatural character is the WWE Universal Champion. He'll be on SmackDown tomorrow night back in the United States. What a travel day they'll have there. Coming back from Saudi Arabia. I believe it's a minimum 15-hour flight. That's crazy.
Michael Cole, another great line from Cole, who said, some wise man once told me that I should be paying him for this job because I have the best seat in the house, and now I get to jump on a plane and go to Buffalo and do it all over again tomorrow.
But Bray Wyatt's the new WWE Universal Champion. What do you think? It's a move that people wanted once the Fiend character kind of caught on and became something that people feel is very special. You can't deny the character is very special, and now you've crowned him. You've made him your champion, and he's been exciting to see at house shows. People have seen more of him at house shows. I mean, we've only seen this guy have how many matches under this new character with this new entrance? A handful of them. Three matches. So here he is. He's Universal Champion. Is the luster going to come off if you're going to have this guy on TV more? Is he not going to be on TV more? Are we just going to lean on the Firefly Funhouse stuff with him week to week on television?
For a lot of people, the luster came off at Hell in a Cell.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think the heat got put on the referee and Seth Rollins.
And I think, listen, you got 2 hours of SmackDown, 3 hours of Raw. At the start of one of those shows, I wanted immediately addressed, Raw needs a champion. Who's going where and how are you getting around that?
Mm-hmm.
And if that's not addressed by the time Raw is on the air, then I can't predict where we're going, because I don't know are you putting the Fiend on Raw, or are you just going to stick Lesnar on Heyman's show, which I guess in theory seems like it makes all the sense in the world because he's Heyman's guy, but Fox wanted Brock Lesnar. What do you do there?
Do you let the champions go wherever they want to go?
Do you ask the performer for preference, or do you mean both champions can go?
You're WWE champion, you're WWE Universal Champion, you can go where you want.
No, because you just established
Yeah.
that won't be possible due to a brand split.
Mm.
You can't already. It's like we were talking about last night with John Moxley kind of throwing out the rules of the wins-loss records in AEW. You can't go back on these new established boundaries that you just set.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people chiming in here. Main roster matches are soft compared to NXT matches.
They're soft.
Soft. You soft, bro. SAWFT. People want to see Bryn. Sean Smith wants to see Bray, Finn, and Taker. Want to see Bray and Finn versus Taker and Rollins. That'd be a fun match here.
That'd be an odd pair.
Raquel Gutierrez says they're probably trying to make a dark Seth with this loss. Is Seth going to lose his mind? Is he going to be able to deal with this loss? Is he going to go into a dark, dark place because he doesn't have his red belt? We'll see what happens.
I think they were trying to go there with Hell in a Cell, but the response was so negative that they switched gears.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Winston Sims saying, are we going to get a rematch? Are we going to see these two guys in the ring again? I think this is kind of done for a while.
I hope not.
No, I think this is done for a while.
Again, brand divisions, unless you put the Fiend back on Raw.
I think this was designed to get you to forget how upset people were about Hell in a Cell. I mean, certainly they mentioned it and they brought it up and it's in the storyline. You can't deny it, right? But they made it clear this match will not be stopped. We will have a winner. You will get a definitive winner, and you got your definitive winner, and you got the guy that you want to have the champion. But I'm going to say this now. If you thought Hell in a Cell pissed you off, what are you going to be like when you don't care about the Fiend? That's where I say the double standard kicks in with the fans then. Who want something, they give it to you, and then you turn on it. It's like, what are you trying to do here? It's such a monster you need to feed. So
yeah, and it's impossible. And to that, I tip my hat to the creative team because it's such a monster to have to undertake this moving target that is the interest of fans.
Mm-hmm. More people texting. Kenny Omega has more talent in one finger than Rollins has in his whole body. Omega is God in the ring. All right. Okay, that is a little bit drastic.
I love your passion, pal. Who was that?
That is Manuel. I'm going to troll this show, Escudero.
Manuel Escudero, I love your passion.
Yeah, Sean Smith saying Omega wallet isn't that big. I bet Omega's wallet's pretty big.
Omega's wallet's pretty big, I'd imagine.
I bet it's pretty big. I bet he has a pretty big wallet. That sounds like something else. Yeah. So yeah, that's a different V trigger of a completely different kind. Let's get into this WWE quarter call here. But overall, Crown Jewel, what do you think? I thought it was a fun show. As I mentioned,
if I'm going to give it a rating out of 10, I'll give it a 7.
I didn't feel that high about it. I'm going to give it a 6.5. 6.5. Good stuff was good. Bad stuff was bad. Tyson Fury, he was in the ring for 3 minutes, gave it a go, took a couple of bumps. Didn't look bad, didn't look great. It was not. We didn't even mention it because I thought like, all right, he got out of the match without getting hurt. That was the big storyline of the match.
Yeah,
that was it.
He won by count out because Braun Strowman can't have nice things.
But Braun didn't get pinned by him.
And Braun got his heat back. I mean, they did a decent piece of business there.
Yeah, it was fine. And I'll also say this about Tyson Fury. We're just cleaning up here. The guy gave it a go. Was it great? No. Could I see him in the ring again? In a different setting, maybe in a Royal Rumble, maybe in another match. Cain too. They were attractions, and you use the attractions to get people in, and then your other match is delivered. Natalya versus Lacey Evans is a match you need to see just for the moment of it. Team Hogan versus Team Flair is really cool, but the match of the night was Mansoor versus Cesaro for me. Give it a 6.5 out of 10. You give it a 7. What was the match of the night for you?
I would, from a bell-to-bell perspective, Mansoor Cesaro. From I won't forget this moment, Natty and Lacey Evans.
Okay, you liked it for the history of it. Yes, you liked it for the history of it. WWE Quarter 3 earnings call. This was going on. Was this going on during Crown Jewel?
Nope. This went on at 11 a.m. Eastern and finished right around 12 where the show was about to start. So, yeah, this earnings call happened. It was George Barrios and Michelle Wilson, the co-presidents of WWE, breaking down the financials. If you guys are into financials, you know that the WWE corporate website provides the full press release of everything that they're doing. some interesting things from the call itself. Somebody asked about if they're worried about Disney Plus and HBO Max and how will their prices affect the network.
Those are really good questions. Those are really, really good questions to ask, because Disney Plus has just been marketed through the roof. You're seeing it everywhere in terms of what's been referenced. Disney has spent so much money. You can't go on any website, any social media without seeing it as your front-facing thing right away. I mean, they're at the top of Twitter. They're at the top of Facebook. They're at the top of YouTube. The ads on TV are up there too. This is a big offering by Disney to jump into that. But then you have WWE offering a $10 service that has pay-per-views on it. Does that change the market in terms of what people want to spend on their streaming services, you know?
Which is essentially the question that was asked, to which the answer was no. Services like Disney Plus and HBO Max, and I believe Apple TV was the other one, are more broad forms of entertainment, where ours is very specifically niche.
Yeah.
So they did not say they would be changing prices, but they did hype the tiered pricing again, how there will be a free tier that'll get you access to some content. There will be, the premium tier and stuff like that.
And they've been talking about that for a year, tiered pricing. Well, they have it just at $10. You get everything, and you get the first month free, right? And they have some promotions in terms of products. Like they did one with Poster, you get 3 months if you buy like 2 boxes or something like that. They have a handful of different things like that. But did they give any more details on the tiered pricing and like the different levels of content you'll get if you pay a little bit more?
No, they didn't get into any details. They did say February 2020, they will be projecting some, statements for what they hope to accomplish through the next year, but they wouldn't give any major details. Some other interesting things, they were asked about Eric Bischoff, to which George Barrios said, I will not discuss any specific individual, but we do feel that the executive director and the structure that we have now is really great.
Bruce Pritchard taking over SmackDown there. Yeah, they have Bruce Pritchard on SmackDown.
Yes.
Yeah.
But they didn't even touch on specifically Bruce. He just said, the positioning is great, the structure is great, because it allows Vince to be more choosy with what he does in creative.
Kind of takes the load off him. He doesn't feel like he has that much pressure then. So.
And then there were questions about NXT as a third brand, to which, there was questions of like, you've moved it from the network. Are you worried that that's affecting your network subscribers? To which Barrios said, no, we actually feel the turnaround is better because now you're getting 2 hours per week. You just have to wait till Thursday instead of Wednesday. And we feel like NXT is going to be a strong third brand for us on USA.
That is true, though. You do get the show like a day later if you don't want to watch it on Wednesday nights. If you're an All Elite Wrestling fan, you still have the network. You can still just watch it the next night.
And then the end of the call, somebody said, I want to ask you about AEW and how are things affecting you financially because of AEW? Are you spending more on talent and your in-ring product because of AEW?
They have to be spending more money on talent.
Clearly, but George Barrios said, we do take them seriously, but we also take NBA seriously and MLB seriously.
We're competing with every form of entertainment.
We're competing with everybody for eyes.
Yeah.
But then the follow-up question to that was, are you worried about losing talent? To which Barrios said, I am not a talent, but I would think that we are ahead of all other wrestling promotions by a magnitude, if not two. And I would think that talent would consider our grand exposure and our big YouTube numbers.
Sure.
And they would know when trying to decide who to align with that we are the biggest wrestling promotion. And like that in and of itself says, okay, we're watching them, but we're focused on us, but we're very much watching them.
That's a fair response. And everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, they didn't. Why didn't they say that AEW?
They're scared.
They're scared. Vince fears AEW." Like, were those signs that you'd see during the Monday Night Wars? Eric Bischoff fears Vince, and like all that ridiculous stuff. So yeah, I would say it's an interesting take to say that, hey, we feel we're number one, and we feel in the long run we're gonna win this thing.
Yeah, he said. Specifically, we have a history of surviving and we have a longevity built and we can grow our audience and our expectation is we win.
Yeah. That's a
And there you
fair
have it.
that's a fair take to have on this situation. Even with NXT not beating AEW in the ratings and all this stuff. So let's talk about AEW ratings. They came in from yesterday. If you haven't checked out our WrestleZone Warzone post show, because they're at war, right? You guys can go get that. That's up in the podcast feed. We felt that NXT had a strong night. We felt that AEW had a strong night, but NXT was a little bit stronger in our eyes. But the ratings may speak a different tone. AEW Dynamite pulled in 759,000 viewers, according to Showbuzz Daily, which is down from 963. This is their second week in a row under a million. That's a drop of over 200,000 viewers. It's a drop of over 700,000 viewers from week one. NXT, in the meantime, pulled 580,000 viewers during a 2-hour run. That is down from 698,000 last week. Once again, AEW still on top head-to-head in terms of demographics. It's also worth noting that NXT had an encore presentation before and a replay of their live show this week. Those are not included in this rating. So we don't have those just yet. As far as
it's also worth noting that the Game 7 of the World Series did 23 million.
Yeah, that's why this is happening. I was going to bring that up, and that was a Game 7. So even if you're just a novice baseball fan, even if you're a novice sports fan, you're going to check it out. They were also up against South Park. They were up against South Park did really well as well. There was 2 NBA games. There's that challenge show on MTV, which
Real World Road Rules.
Yeah,
Challenge.
what happened? Remember Road Rules? Do they even talk about Road Rules anymore?
I think it just exists via challenge.
Via challenge. Dude, look, Road Rules, underrated reality show. I enjoyed Road Rules. I was a fan of that when I was a teen. When I was an impressionable teen. Tough call for both of them to get hit here. That's another thing is this is the first time where I think, AEW, they're jumping in there and they're getting put up against big sports games, and they took a hit here.
Because we're competing with everybody.
So is AEW. So is AEW. Now that you're a TV show, you compete with everything else that's on TV.
And I think they know that, but I think one of the reasons why it might be better suited to say we're focused on this individual competition is because then you can say, well, how are you doing compared to this and only this, instead of being like, yeah, but you're getting crushed on by everything. And that has its pluses and its minuses, and nobody's going to do more than Game 7 of the World Series, and AEW, I think we're starting to see where I think the ratings will stick. This 7 to 8 range for AEW, I think that's where it's going to stay. And NXT will continue to grow until they hit the 7-8 range, and then we'll trade off.
We always need to clarify on this. This doesn't reflect YouTube views at all. Doesn't reflect how people watch the show in clip form on YouTube. That is the number one way that I've seen a recent study. That is the number one way that a lot of people watch shows they can't catch, is they go and catch up on them on clips. Like sports now, a lot of people catch up on sports just through YouTube clips and like clip forms, not the whole thing. Show me just the big plays and what have you. So this isn't reflective of that. This is only an overnight number. We also don't have this isn't the 3-day out DVR number, and doesn't show what people are watching if they catch it tonight on WWE Network. So, and also, AEW doesn't reflect how this doesn't include their ITV international. This is completely domestic. So remember, these are skewed numbers. Nielsen ratings have never been accurate. This is not accurate. This is just kind of like an idea of what it was overnight. But right now, AEW, they're leading. They're the winner on Wednesday nights right now in terms of ratings.
When do you think, and this is getting a bit of a sidetrack, but when do you think we're going to get a new ratings scoring system that will incorporate
in general for media
views?
For media, it's really hard to go into that. So I work, to clarify, I work in radio, and we have to deal with the Nielsen people meters. And when these came into radio, those were really hard to deal with, because imagine I live in, for example, I live in Chicago. It's a city of nearly 4.5 million people, metropolitan, just within the city limits. The greater Chicagoland area, you're talking like 8, 9, 10 million people, right? The problem with that is you'll have one individual like beeper that people wear on their belt, or they just wear with them, and it picks up signals within a broadcast signal, and it reads it. And that person represents like 10,000 people. So this one person represents like all of the north side of Chicago, all this entire area. And that isn't realistic. Like that doesn't honestly reflect how many people are actually listening. And so that's a hard thing to pull in. And then you kind of have to play the game there. It's almost like delegates. When you hear about delegates for like a big presidential campaigns, well, the delegates chose this person. Well,
yeah.
You know, and sometimes those delegates
very
certainly
weird game.
Yeah, it's a very weird game. And TV ratings are really no different than that. And they're like that on a national scale. So they're just really indications of the way the rating actually is. So sometimes if you actually got more accurate ratings, if you want to talk digitally, AEW does really, really strong digitally. They trend very, very well digitally. But if this was just digital, NXT would be very, very close to them in terms of social media impressions, online viewership. The WWE YouTube platform is the biggest in wrestling. No one's getting near it. They get 50 million subscribers, 50 million subscribers. A backstage interview for 90 seconds that they're going to do with Natalya today is going to get more views than Beating the Elite got in the last 3 weeks. Think about that. Like, I'm being hypothetical. There was the Cain Velasquez clip of him beating up Shelton Benjamin was like on the top 10 and trended that way. Being the Elite, though, trends very, very good in this way that they have people watching a 20-minute show. They have a couple 100,000 people watching 20 minutes, seeking it out like a podcast and doing it. So in that way, AEW is getting a really good pull out of their audience. They're getting a very engaged, consistent audience, which advertisers also like as well. So when I open up the curtain here and talk media with you guys, I'm not talking wrestling. I'm talking media. NXT is playing the long ball. And AEW is just trying to break in. They have a long-term plan, but right now they're hitting it really hard, and they're trying to do a lot of wild, different things. So I enjoy what they're doing. Being the Elite put out a new episode while we're talking about online video shows with a fun Toy Story spoof in it. It was an animated Toy Story spoof with all the different all Elite wrestling characters, kind of as action figures. It was actually really cute. I didn't get to finish it, but I definitely suggest you go seek it out. You ready for some questions, dude? Robert, I lost you again, Robert. Such is our life in these episodes that we stream with, but we move on. And hopefully Robert will rejoin me, or I'll have to reboot the stream again. I'll do that.
And to kind of wrap up what he was saying, yeah, they did Being the Elite. It's got a nice Toy Story spoof.
Yep.
It's got there I went.
You're up there, dude. You're up there. Go ahead, dude.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was very funny. It's got a weird ending, but stick around for it. Very interesting to see what all that was leading towards.
Robert, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
You can't see me. I'm a ghost.
I cannot see you. You are essentially, for Halloween this year, you are John Cena again.
I'm spooky. Oh, speaking of spookiness, and All Hallows, it's not All Hallows Eve, it's because Halloween, we have a spooktacular video, the WrestleZone Roundup, looking at the spookiest characters.
I believe you also have a spooktacular interview with one Danhausen.
An interview Hausen with Danhausen. So Danhausen, one of the scariest Halloween-y type characters in all of independent wrestling. Also, Kevin Thorne. Kevin Thorne did an interview with us this week as well. So those are all in the podcast feed here. And we're going to wrap up because we have our continuing fighting streaming issues. Robert, I am a ghost currently. You can follow me, though, on Twitter at Kev Kellam. Yeah, I'm going to haunt you. I'm going to come up behind you. I'm going to appear to you in Florida. You can follow me on Twitter at Kev Kellam. I have some big comedy shows coming up, including November 25th. I will be at the Pig's Mind Brewery right outside of Rockford, Illinois for the Pig's Mind Comedy Festival. It'll be really, really cool. I'll be headlining that. And you can follow me online on my Twitter. That's where you see all my dates and all my cool stuff. And 101 WKQX, we just sold out another one of the Nights We Stole Christmas shows at the Byline Bank Aragon Ballroom in Chicago. We will we just sold out the 1975 Very, very fun group. We still have tickets available for 311 with Highly Suspect and the Glorious Sons December 15th at the Byline Bake Aragon Brawl. I'm coming through Chicago to see a couple of rock shows. You can win your way in as well at 101WKQX.com. That's the radio station we're on. Out of Chicago, stream it anywhere in the world. What do you got, Robert?
I've got, follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DeFelice. I've got Fightful during the weekend, Smart Out Moment during the every week. I've got e-wrestling news every day. You guys know what it is. I love wrestling. I'm all over wrestling. Enjoy wrestling. Am I right?
Enjoy wrestling and enjoy us when we get on our new streaming service. It will be worth it. It will be so worth it. Thank you so much, Robert. Thank you guys so much for being patient with all the tech issues. I know we consistently say it, but it's just a transition, and we're trying to work our way around it, and still put out the shows too. Robert, tell them what they got to do.
First of all, have a happy and safe Halloween. Second of all, enjoy wrestling.
Yeah, don't eat candy corn.
It's terrible.